Yo guys, what's up? So today I want to talk to you guys about Blue Protocol Star Resonance. So the game just came out and we've been playing since launch this morning. I'm streaming at the moment while I record this, and in the future we still have more characters and more stuff to do. But I wanted to go over briefly kind of what I'm doing on the first day, and then just kind of talking about my thought process and how it kind of works. So this is going to be kind of like an early day guide, or getting started when you're first kind of playing the game and trying to learn the new systems and kind of what you should be doing and all that kind of stuff. So first thing I would recommend doing is making your characters if you're going to be someone who plays multiple characters. So the reason for that is because, when the servers were, first coming out and stuff like that in China, they actually were going down a lot. And so they were getting a lot of maintenance. And so if you have multiple characters and they're already made, they can double dip on that maintenance compensation. However, it kind of doesn't really seem like this is super important for us because we haven't really been having any issues and the game has been really stable. So I'm not really expecting the servers to go down. So, maybe do that one if you really want to future proof, but you don't have to if you don't want to. I already did make my characters just because it's kind of what we were doing earlier in the morning. But I've leveled this character and done everything that I plan to do on this character today, as well as what I'm going to do for these two characters after I get done recording this. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So the very first thing that you'll want to do when you log into a new character is you're going to want to go through and do the story. Now you can, split off and do other stuff, but I would say just go ahead and focus the story for the first little bit. The main story quest is actually going to give you the majority of your XP that you're going to get, and it should get you to roughly level 18 on the first day. And then from there, there'll be more experience to get in other places that I'll mention along the way. But I think it's better to just go ahead and get those levels and get your character started. You'll kind of get an introduction to the game. It'll kind of show you combat and how to dodge and things like that. And so it's just a really good opportunity to just kind of learn the basic controls and stuff like that, like you normally would in any other game. I also just want to let you guys know I am still streaming even after I, have worked on this video and stuff like that. We're going to be playing Blue Protocol pretty much all day, every day for the next like several days probably. And I stream every night after 8 o'clock p.m. PST. So feel free to come hang out if you guys are ever interested. After that, you do kind of want to try and start min-maxing a little bit here and there. And so there's a couple of different things that you can do. So when you finish your quest line, it will leave you roughly right here in front of the bureau here. And so one of the things that you can do is you can just walk right over here and talk to Anna, this lovely little administrator on the left side here. She's our trial path administrator, and she's going to be the one that takes us through and basically gives you challenges to do for your path. So for me, I did the Guardian one on this character because this is a tanking character, but depending on you, you might do the attack or the support. Again, depends on the class that you're playing. And as you do, you'll start getting little things like this. These arcane seals, for example. So this is a tanking seal. So as a guardian or a class that's classified as like a tank, I will be using these to upgrade my talents. Now, you don't get a ton of these from here, but this is just one place that you can get them, and it doesn't require anything other than just playing the game. And these early challenges are quite easy, so I would recommend just go ahead and do those and get the rewards, so that way you can continue to work on your talents without having to spend anything. A small tidbit, because we were talking about those seals, I think it's worth mentioning too that if you go into the store and you go down here to the colorful store, the honor coin shop is actually where you're going to be getting the majority of these, I believe. And this is a weekly buyout. You can only get 10 of them a week. And this is part of the reason why I was saying in my previous videos that if you're going to have multiple classes on one character, you're going to be time gated. And this is why. So these are going to be something that you have very scarce resources for. And so you do want to try and min-max how much you can actually, use these efficiently. And then for reference, the material of these honor coins, I don't know why they're coins, they look like paper to me. The way you get these is actually by doing the seasonal hub here. and then it's this stuff down here. So these different activity merits that you can do daily will give you a bunch of those coins that you can use to spend in that shop and buy those materials. And along with that, there's actually these books as well. And so these are going to be something that you want to be getting every single week, just because there's a limit on how much you can get, and you're going to need them as you level your character. I believe some of these other pieces too are going to be quite useful, but in the early day ones part, it's not really as useful. You do kind of need these to upgrade your abilities, so that way you can get high enough combat rating so you can go into the dungeons and things like that. These will be helpful later on when you start going and doing other things. And we'll kind of go over them later. You want to be min-maxing your daily activity stuff so that way you get as many of these resources as possible, as many of these honor coins as you can. So now when it comes to getting those honor coins, you can do any of these challenges here, and you can even re-roll them if you want to get different ones or whatever. And many of them, as you can see, can be repeated. And so some of the easy earlier ones are going to be like your unstable space. This one in particular is going to be one that you're going to want to do, especially early on. So if you hit I, it'll bring open the party finder, and you can just go into the unstable space and then click on the daily unstable space. Now this will rotate each day, but it's really, really simple, and you can do it at pretty much any level once you get access to the party hub. It doesn't really have a gear score requirement either. It's very, very easy. It's very simple. It teleports you directly to that given boss. You fight the boss and you get some free loot. It's very, very good, and it's very, very lucrative in terms of time investment to reward. So you should definitely do this. I would honestly be doing this every single day, just because it doesn't really hurt you, especially if you need the gear. Okay, so the next thing I would do is I would actually go to your map and go to your Asteria plane. Now, this thing over here should be showing up on your map, but what we really want to do is we want to go over there to it. So if I hit navigate, it will automatically teleport me to the nearest teleport spot that I have over there, and it will mount me up and then run me over there to where I can interact with that feather. So as you can see, like hands off the wheel, right? We're totally just running automatically to where we need to go. Now you can use this navigate in anything else in the game. You can use them for questing automatically and running to the right spot. You can use them for finding the world bosses, etc. So make sure you do use it, especially if you have, you have some downtime and you want to like go up and get a drink or something. You don't feel like you have to be, running everywhere by yourself. So once you get here, you can just resonate with this. And what this will do is this will give you access to your float ability. Now, your float ability is something that you're going to need for more exploration later on, but it allows you to go into lifts like this all around the world and kind of, like I said, get to explore the world a lot more. And it'll be very, very important if you're trying to, go around the world and open chests and things like that too. Part of the reason why we're actually doing this though is because there is a second ability that we need to talk about. And so that actually comes from this spot right here, the wind core. However, and this is going to be a spoiler for anyone who doesn't know already, the wind core is way, way, way up there. Now, if you can imagine, you probably don't want to climb that. I actually did try and climb that on the beta, and it is quite difficult. You can do it though. You can do it for sure. But what I would actually recommend doing is if you go and run over here behind this, giant mountain, you'll actually get to a village over here, and the village over here has a wind spot. Once you can glide, you should be able to use it and then get all the way up to the top of this area. So once you get over here, you can basically just go to this little town right here, and then it's literally right here. We activate this wind spot, we use float, and then we just glide into this little ring. And then boom, it will fly us all the way to the top of that mountain. So once you get up here, you can just interact with this. And once you resonate with this, then you'll have the ability to do the sprint dash. So you can use this ability and then use it again to dash again. And the reason why I'm recommending you do it at this point in the game is because at this point, you haven't really needed it. But now that we're gonna recommend that you start doing like some dungeons and stuff like that, well, you probably want to be able to dash around and, you know, run with everybody else through the dungeon. Okay, so the next thing that I would recommend doing is your chaotic realm. So if you hit I again and then you go over here, you'll see that the goblin lair is kind of where you start. Now, an issue that might happen to you, depending on how invested you are or how lucky you got maybe in your unstable spaces, you might need to invest in your character a little bit more. And so in order to get the item level or combat level required for interacting with the goblin lair, you might have to go into your talents, make sure you have all of your talents already set up, but also you need to level your skills. Now, keep in mind that any skills that you unlock that you don't have equipped don't count towards your actual combat power. So only level up the skills that you want to equip. I did test that earlier, and it turns out, yes, it's only the ones that you have equipped that affect your combat rating. Between that and then checking your own gear, you might have some pieces of gear that are blue that you have access to in your inventory, for example. Double check you have all your highest level stuff equipped, and you have ideally the right main stat for everything, strength for strength characters, etc., right? And then ideally that should get you to where you need to in order to actually do your chaotic realm and kind of start your journey there. So at this point you can queue for the chaotic realm. You just say auto match, and then there is an option that will ask you if you want to be a captain. It's up to you on whether or not you feel like you can be the leader of the group, but to be honest, nobody really requires anything with the leader other than you have to interact with something at the start of the dungeon to start the actual dungeon. Everyone loads into the dungeon and there's a console that you have to talk to. And then after that, you can kind of just start your dungeon grinding journey. Now, once you get high enough level, you will be able to do the harder version. I'm not quite there yet, but that is something to keep in mind. If you get lucky and you can get like, you know, multiple pieces, or if you get lucky and you get the like weapon to drop, for example, you can also, you know, potentially get high enough score to come and do the hard mode version. So unfortunately, you won't really be able to hone your gear today to get additional combat score. But what you can do, I think if you need a little bit extra points, you could come into here with, let's say, you know, a helmet or something that you might have got from the unstable space. You can actually add it and then you can upgrade your perfection level. So it should start lower down here, and then as you get higher up, you should get more score because you're getting more increase in your stat bonuses and stuff like that. So it's not going to give you a ton of points, but if you find that you're pretty close, maybe try this, and then hopefully that can kind of tip you over the edge and let you into the dungeon, for example. So now that you kind of know how to get into your chaotic realms, if you go into the menu and you go to features and then you go to weeklies, you'll see here that it has the Pioneer Award. So what this is like a weekly chest like from World of Warcraft that basically by doing different stuff, you can unlock a piece of gear at the end of the week. So you will want to do 6 of these chaotic realms in your week to make sure that you can get your chaotic realm piece of gear on the Monday reset. Okay, and then after that, and you've started, you know, finish your daily dungeon grinds or whatever you want to do, then I would recommend going in and doing your life skills. So as I mentioned previously, Proud has a guide on the official Blue Protocol Discord. Just look for the community guides, and then it is this life skill early progression help for gear slots / gems by Proud. I highly still recommend this. This is a great place to start and at least have an idea roughly on where you're going to be going with your journey. Now, this is only day 1 and we don't get a ton of this XP per day. We do get 400 per day. But on day 1, they only gave us like 400 to start with. So it's not a whole lot. And so the very first thing on there is to go and collect this ore. You can get it by adding this mastery here, and that will allow you to track it, and then you can just navigate to it like I showed you guys previously. And then the very first thing on that list is to collect 300 energy worth and then do the same thing for another orb that I'll be doing tomorrow. Follow that guide that Proud made. It's really good, and I think it will help get you in the right direction. But the point of this being that you want to use your life energy not necessarily every day if you don't want to, but if you do have time, maybe do it so that way if you fall behind tomorrow or the day after or whatever, it's not that big of a deal. And then kind of last but not least is the daily bosses. So you have elite bosses that you can get done every day, and then also world bosses. So they have different qualities of drops, right? So world bosses are going to drop you more of this yellow gear, which is the higher end stuff. And then the elites are going to drop you the purple gear. So do a little bit of research, find out which one your class wants. And if your class has, and imagine that they can try and get from one of these bosses earlier on. Like for me, for example, one of my better ones as the tank that I want to play is this Frost Ogre here, who's level 20. So I can actually group up and do those already because we're already level 20, 21-ish on day one. But another example that I wouldn't be able to do would be the Tempest Ogre. So the Tempest Ogre is actually like my best in slot apparently, and unfortunately he's level 60. So there's nothing that we can do that's gonna let us fight a level 60. But if you have a bunch of imagines that are good for you that are really hard to do right now, you could just save up the keys. The way the keys work is you do get 2 per day. You can have a maximum of 6, so that is 3 days worth of keys, and you can keep those. Like I said, you can have 6 of them at a time. So try and find out when you might be able to tackle the boss that you are trying to do, and then you can farm it accordingly. And in order to find these bosses, it's actually pretty easy. You can kind of just go on here and you hit track, and then you see he's just down here, and then I can navigate to him the same way that I have shown you before. You just hit navigate and it'll teleport me nearby and run me over there. I mean, so that's more or less it. There's not a ton to do on day one. There is a lot of time gating in this game for sure, and I think tomorrow and stuff we'll get like access to the actual honing of gear and everything. But anyway, I wanted to just show you guys kind of my day one, what I'm doing today to try and set myself up for success, and hopefully it will help you get set up too. So let me know if you guys have any questions or anything down below. Comment if you have a question or want to discuss anything. Always happy to answer you guys' questions and talk with you down there. Like the video if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one.